Big hello to Dana Young. Thank you for joining us on screen, Dana.
Thank you, Maddie. Great to be here.
Fantastic. So, just to give everyone a heads up about what's to come in this session, we're going to be talking about the trends and insight, covering where, when, and how people are traveling and what they spend their time and money on when they do. Dana, we're going to hear your predictions and Visit Florida's plans for the year ahead, as well as product updates, including any new news about flights, accommodation, and attractions. And we will, of course, be taking questions from the audience as well. So if anyone's sat behind the computer screens who's got a burning question to ask, please do pop it in the chat throughout the session, and we will answer them as and when they come in. So, Dana, starting off with the trends and insights, what travel trends have you noticed in the recent months or right now? Have you seen any changes in how people book their holidays to Florida?
Well, Florida continues to be the number one long haul destination for British and Irish travelers. So we're really happy with that. Multi destination and park tickets are, things that Brits and Irish love those packages, and obviously that can get complicated, as everybody on this call knows. So that continues to be important for travel advisors to be involved, which is great. We are seeing for shorter trips, which we're seeing a little more of. Folks are willing to just go through OTAs if they're just flying into one gateway airport and staying in that area. But for the longer trips, the more complicated trips, we're still seeing travel advisors as being extremely important. So yeah, I mean, we love that we're still number one.
Fantastic. And what about where people are travelling to from the UK and Ireland? What destinations they're choosing? You see any changes in the market there?
Well, Orlando continues to be number one by far. We're seeing about 66% of all UK and Irish visitors coming to Orlando, which is a really big number.
Yeah.
Second is Miami, but by a much smaller number, about 21% coming to Miami. And our goal at Visit Florida, and hopefully the goal of these meetings that you're having today, is to expand the travelers' understanding of what Florida has to offer outside of Miami and Orlando. And one way that we have done that this year is the ITV series with Jimmy Doherty, Jimmy's Taste of Florida, that has just aired on ITV. It's going to be streaming throughout the year. And he visits 10 destinations in Florida with a culinary focus. So people will be able to see what I would call the real Florida, and really understand that there is more to see than the things that they know about today.
Brilliant. And what about how they're traveling when they get to Florida? Are you seeing single center, multi center, self drives, possibly cruise and stays? We'll talk about cruise and stay in a bit. But yeah, you seeing any changes in how they're traveling once they get there?
Well, we're seeing all of those things, of course. But from our perspective, the twin and multi-center traveler, those vacations are far preferable for us, because our research has shown that visitors that uh, see things outside of one gateway city are 5 times more likely to come to Florida again and again. And of course, that is our goal.
Of course, always. Okay. And travel agents are always really keen to know what the peak months are for visitation. So when do you get the most numbers coming from UK and Ireland?
Well, those peak months are staying, the same pretty much. I mean, with families, it's those school holidays. I'm sure your travel advisors could tell me a little about this. They're living it every day. But then, we're seeing couples, empty nesters, people that might have preschool children that aren't as confined by the school calendar. They come year round. And as I was telling you a little while ago, today is February, and it's beautiful and sunny and warm here in Tampa, Florida. So anytime is a good time to visit Florida.
Of course. Okay. And what about duration? How long are Brits staying in Florida for? Are they doing a week long, 2 weeks? What's kind of the average?
A week is not enough. We're seeing about 12 plus nights as the average.
Fantastic. And what about how much they're spending? Have you seen any changes in their budgets when they come to Florida?
Well, I think the world is seeing everything's a little more expensive. And obviously, the average spend is going to depend on what they choose to do, what type of accommodation, if they're going to the park one day or multiple days. But on average, we're seeing about £9,000 per trip.
Okay, interesting. So Greg's put in the chat there, he's seeing a rise in people wanting more than one stay and also looking at cruise and stay options. So that's great to hear, Greg. We've got cruise and stay information coming right up after this session.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
Good to hear. Okay, so we've talked about what you're seeing at the moment, but what are your predictions for the future, Dana? Do you have any ideas about what's coming up in terms of travel trends in the coming months?
Well, no crystal ball, unfortunately, sad to say. But again, Florida still is the number one long haul destination. We see people are looking for a diversity of experience now, which is exactly what Visit Florida has been working on for the past several years with TTG, is expanding the understanding and the knowledge. So, we have obviously the theme parks and the beaches, but experiences like swimming with manatees in Crystal River, or experiencing some of Florida's 15,000 miles of trails of all kinds, shopping, arts and culture. We have everything, and it's just expanding that consumer understanding of what's available. And so we are seeing a willingness of British travelers to get out of the box and see and experience new things, which is great.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Are these the sorts of trends that you're planning to tap into in terms of your marketing messages this year? Just tell us a bit about what you're planning in terms of marketing coming up.
Yes, I mean we've been working on this expansion of understanding for quite some time. We are continuing with that. I just mentioned the Jimmy's Taste of Florida series. I think that's a great way to sort of kick off 2024. And that culinary focus. We're in the third year of our partnership with the Michelin Guide, so that is sort of driving that culinary message. But again, we're introducing travelers to new areas outside the gateways. We have a lot of information on our website. Brightline is now actively running between Orlando and Miami. So that opens up a whole new section of Florida for people that might want to see more outside of those two cities, but don't want to rent a car. There are several stops along the way where they can experience new cities like Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, and some of those areas. Pre and post cruise, you've mentioned it several times. We've been working with several organizations, including yours, to put together fantastic itineraries based around the cruise departure points. So the idea is that we would get people to come a few days early before they go on their cruise, experience the areas within 1 to 2, maybe 3 hours driving of the cruise terminal, and then they go on their vacation. If we could just get people to stay even 1 or 2 or 3 more nights, that is very, very beneficial. So that certainly is something we're working on. And then accessibility. We've talked about this with TTG so many times over the past 3 or 4 years, but we are just continuing to expand our offerings on our website, the information that we have from our destinations, and it continues to be a priority for us.
Lots coming up then. It's great to hear. And you mentioned Brightline there. Obviously, traveling by train is a great and sustainable way to travel around Florida. So I did want to just touch on responsible and sustainable experiences. We know that consumers are increasingly looking for more sustainable experiences and more conscious about responsible travel when they are traveling on their holidays. What is Visit Florida doing to ensure that the Sunshine State is really meeting that growing demand that we're seeing at the moment?
Well, Florida's tourism economy is based on us having pristine natural environment. Our freshwater springs, our beaches, the Everglades, the wildlife that we have so much in abundance here. It's all a driver for the tourism economy. So it's in our best interest to preserve those things, and we do. We have a green lodging program, and that keeps expanding. We have over 400 properties that are in that program now. And things that people do in Florida are really powered by their own energy. Think about swimming in the ocean, kayaking, paddleboarding, All of those things are things that people can do without tapping into any energy other than your own. So you need a little fresh from Florida fruits and vegetables to get your own energy up. But and then, in that same vein, we have such an abundance of local seafood, fruits, vegetables that are grown here, that the farm to table experiences are very, very easy to find and in abundance here in Florida.
Fantastic. Okay. So moving on to product updates, we've got a question from Adele in the chat here. Will flights from the north, I assume that's north of England or the UK, be flying into Tampa anytime soon? Which leads me on very nicely to my question about any new flight routes or increased capacities. Can you tell us about airlift to Florida at the moment, and if that?
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go. I've just finished with the question.
So we welcomed the new Virgin Atlantic flight from Heathrow to Tampa last year. That joined the BA flight from Gatwick to Tampa, so that was a great addition. And then there are several daily flights, of course, into Orlando and Miami. My understanding is that there are many indirect options from the north and other regional airports, but I don't know of any new direct flights. I hope there are more. And certainly, as we're traveling throughout the UK and Ireland over the next several months, and then at World Travel Market, we will be meeting with airlines and working to establish those new direct flights.
Fantastic. Did you have any other airlift updates? I know that I just answered that question, but is that we're good?
That's all I have. Right.
Okay, fantastic. Lovely. And then in terms of hotels, that's obviously a big market. Lots of new hotels popping up all the time in Florida. Are there any in particular that you're hoping are really going to make a splash in the UK and Irish market this year?
Well, there's so many new hotels, a lot of renovations as well, but I couldn't possibly mention all of them, but there are a few that are worth just a quick mention here. I was recently in Fort Myers Beach and got to tour the Margaritaville resort that's just opened there. It is absolutely fantastic, right on the beach, brand new, beautiful, lots of great places for a sunset cocktail. It's just fabulous. In Orlando, there is a new Hilton luxury property called the Evermore Orlando Resort. And its claim to fame, in addition to being a beautiful property, is a 20-acre tropical pool. So that should be a really neat hotel to visit in the near future. Two luxury properties are opening. One, the St. Regis Longboat Key Resort, should be opening this spring. And the Bulgari Miami Beach Resort, very high-end luxury properties, both of those. And then one more I'd throw in is the Flamingo Lodge, which is a very unique property, eco-based in terms of its construction and the way that it's operated. That is at the tip of Florida, in the Florida Everglades National Park, but also on the water in Florida Bay. So those are just a few, but really, really great opportunities available this year.
Fantastic. That's really exciting. And how about on the attraction side of things? Are there any new activities or attractions that are going to be coming to market this year?
Always so many new attractions as well. I have trouble keeping up, but I do know that the Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort is opening not 2024, but 2025, but that is underway. For the football fans, the Messi Experience is opening very soon in Miami. So that will be all football, all Messi. That'll be great. And then I know Disney has a Moana based attraction opening in Epcot. So those are just a few of the new attractions.
Fantastic. That's really exciting. Christopher's asking in the chat there if you have any insight into whether there might be an update on the Brightline extension to Tampa Bay.
Well, I actually spoke with Brightline at our Florida Huddle event 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they said probably 2026. But it is definitely happening. So that's the main thing, because I think once Brightline expands to Tampa, that truly is a game changer in terms of how people will be able to see the state of Florida. It just opens up, so much of our state and makes it easier to see new things.
Fantastic. I have ridden the Bright Line myself, and it is a fantastic experience. It's really smooth, really comfortable. It's brilliant.
And it's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
white and beautiful and clean and
it is.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now we're going to be hearing from US Air Tours and Carnival Cruise Line in a second, but on the tour operator side of things, are you aware of any operators who have increased their product for Florida or be expanding their product range this year?
I do not know specifically who is doing that, but my team is on this call, and so I'm sure that throughout the day they'll be happy to share that if they've heard of anything. I have not been in meetings to be able to answer that question for you.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you. Okay, so if anyone has any other questions, please do pop them in the chat. I had a couple more up my sleeve. We've still got about 5 minutes left until our next session. I just wanted to ask about stats. I haven't asked you for any stats yet, Dana. Have you got any updates on visitor numbers to Florida from the UK and Ireland?
I do. In fact, last week we just got our 2023 year-end numbers, and international and overseas visitation to Florida is up dramatically, and that is great to see. And the UK definitely pulled their weight, up 3% over last year, with 1.14 million visitors. So that is such a great thing to see because it has taken a little longer after COVID to get our overseas visitors back. But
Okay,
we're almost at full recovery.
almost there. It's great to hear.
Mhm.
Adele's popped a question in the chat there about beaches. Are all the beaches now open after the hurricane?
Yes,
They are?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I was in that area not too long ago. I was in Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, and Captiva. There are properties open in all of those areas. Sanibel is a little slower to recover just because of, it's an island and it just
Mhm.
takes longer to get things underway. But there are properties open on Sanibel. There are many properties open on Fort Myers Beach, and it is absolutely fabulous down there right now.
Okay, great. I'm just going to squeeze in one more question. um, do you know if you will be attending any trade events in the UK this year? What's kind of your trade engagement looking like for 2024?
Oh, yes, we're going to be there a lot. You're going to get
Mhm.
tired of seeing us. So we will be this spring. We're going to be doing our Taste of Florida Roadshow. So we will be in Glasgow, Manchester, and Birmingham. We will be supporting the TTG Top 50 event in Manchester with several destination partners. So we will be there for that. We will be at World Travel Market in November. Always look forward to that. And I usually bring the sun when I come to that. So look forward to some great weather in November. And then, of course, our UK team and partners are always there to help with any needs that you all may have.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you think agents should know about selling Florida right now before we wrap up?
Well, we value you so much and what you do, and thank you for your partnership over the many years. And we just look forward to seeing you in country soon.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Dana. It's great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Everyone else, we have just under a minute left until the next session starts. So we will wrap up here and see you there in a moment. Thank you.